Midland, Texas. I'm going to do a video tonight. I've talked about this. I made a couple videos about this, about missing man Rene Escobar Sanchez. He went missing from Odessa, Texas 3 months before the previous homeowner of my home, Mike Lawhon, died. And then I transferred into town and bought this home from Mike's widow, Sarah Lawhon. And so after everything that happened to me and some evidence I found, different things that were said, then I've come back and wondered if this home has a connection to this still missing man. And so I'm going to tell that story. I'm gonna turn the camera around here in a minute, pointing at the computer so we can see the pictures and files and newspaper articles and such as that. And then I have a video. There was a little small film company out of Odessa called Odessa After Dark, and they made a video and they interviewed Rene's wife, okay, Esther Armendariz. And then I'm going to play that at the end. I'm just going to play a clip from their video of her being interviewed. And so I don't want to come in here while I'm talking right now to let the cat out of the bag and some of the information, but we should be sure, if you watch any of my videos, then you should know without any doubt that about the capital attempted murder on my life. That's proven beyond shadow of a doubt, absolute 100% proof. Somebody came to my home with a gun and tried to kill me. And more than that, they cut my phone lines, used special ammunition, and all the other evidence that backs it up. And so we know that to be a fact. But then I also had the neighbor that lived across the street. She told me twice that Mike Lawhon, the last homeowner, died in my home. His death certificate says he died in Fort Worth, but she told me he died here twice. She told me that. Marilyn DeLugia did, and I'm gonna hit that again in a minute. But then another guy that was on Facebook, a friend of a friend named a local Mason named Aaron Packelhofer. He asked me. He said there were 4 people that were murdered, died in your house. Do you know their names? Well, I didn't even know there was 4 people that had been murdered, died in my house. Obviously, he does, but I didn't know the names. And so later I come back and go, I wonder if one of them was Rene Escobar Sanchez. And then so I remember back, because we're having to go all the way back to 2008 right when I moved here. I was, like I said, he went missing 3 months before that. I'm going to talk about this death smell I smelled on the west side of my lawn at the time. And I found a half-buried pile of cut-up clothes. But then the previous homeowner had died, so I wasn't sure. Contacted Odessa Crime Stoppers in 2013. I contacted the Odessa American. I contacted then Attorney General Greg Abbott about this information on Rene Escobar Sanchez. A guy confessed, and you're going to hear his name in this video. Esther Armendariz, the wife, she mentions that he was, their part of this story. And so I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes. We're going to get and look at the evidence, and then I'll finish telling the story. I've done in other videos. I drew me up a little outline here. I'm not going to read it to you, but it was kind of to refresh my memory, and it's here on the camera. I know recorded, so you could always stop the motion and read it if you wanted, and in case I missed something. But anyway, it is my outline, and it was basically for me and maybe help me remember. And where I want to start is basically the missing poster here found on the internet, Rene Escobar Sanchez, and above images around 2008, missing since July 12, 2008 from Odessa. And here's his date of birth, how his height and weight, and etc. And this information. You can find this and the details, what it's showing. He was last seen drinking inside his garage in 1900 block of Hancock in Odessa around 11 p.m. Left his vehicle, cellular phone. And you hear his wife tell this story here in a minute. And so they did a search off a Moss Road. I remember that being in the news, but no remains were found. No body was ever found. And there was a guy that they pulled over, and he confessed, Miguel Venegas, he confessed, and he's doing 18 years in prison for this murder, even though a body was never found. And so you can see that he's convicted in November 2015. And so that's really what the story is here. And that was actually in May. Okay. And basically, here's what's going on. You know, I'm ambushed and shot in 2012, right? And then and that's when I start remembering. Right after I moved here, I smelled this death smell on the west side of my lawn. Okay, and I walked around the neighbor's house. I thought maybe she had died, and every time it would heat up, I would smell this death smell. And I also found this half-buried pile of cut-up clothes over there. But you know, this property was in bad shape when I moved here. The previous owner, you know, I didn't know where he died at the time, and so I didn't report that to police at the time. But I tell you what, them clothing fragments, that for years, every time it'd rain or something, and I bet you if you dug out there, you'd still find them. And over there, I've had neighbors come by. We went out there and look. I've taken pictures of it before. These clothing fragments, they're like cut up clothing fragments, half buried, and that's over there where that death smell was, on that side of the lawn. And that's basically what had News West 9 had done a story. And I was remembering back, because I've been ambushed and shot, and I got all these people saying that there's tunnels and underground facility here, and all this, and so then, and that's when I remember, and that's when I started contacting. You know, they said to contact the Odessa Crime Stoppers, which I did, and this was actually the tip. I sent Odessa Crime Stoppers, and I told my story about the death smell. I thought this was a great place to look for his remains. Okay. And so I actually sent that to Odessa Crime Stoppers. And here you can see the date on this, February 5th, 2013. I sent this to John Van Landerland with Odessa American. And I told him, I'm contacting Odessa Crime Stoppers. And, I think maybe, looking here, especially being that I was ambushed and shot, and the real truth is, maybe they'll find tunnels, underground facility, and all that. And so I even wondered if there wasn't, something fishy going on with Jesus confessing the murder when he did 5 years later, and because I'm going to show you here in a minute, he had this huge smile on his face. Here's where I wrote Attorney General Greg Abbott. You can see the date on that, 1/31/13, and this was about Rene Escobar Sanchez. Okay, and so the governor, he was aware of this happening too. Okay, and then here's the news article here, and you can see the date on that one. That's in January 8, 2013, and they pulled over. Okay, this is the guy that just confessed to murder. It looks like he won the lottery to me, That's what I thought was strange, that here's 5 years later, gets pulled over for a traffic violation, he confesses to murder. And that just seemed really odd, And so, but what that did was kept anybody from coming to my house, and looking, because all of a sudden he confessed, and I dumped the body over here on Moss Road, where now nobody can find the body, and the body, no remains to this day, no remains have been found, and so that's Jesus there, okay, and then here, Odessa After Dark episode here, they upload that. I'll show the date on May 21st, 2012. And I'm going to show you a clip from this video where they're interviewing Esther about what happened. And that's about a 10-minute clip, and I'm going to insert that in. And then you're going to hear Esther say, and it's also in that one notice, that he went to a party, and he went to a party at the home of Tomas Lopez over in Odessa. Well, I know a Tomas Lopez. That was the guy that come by and knocked on my door and wanted to do my brick and mortar. His name was Tomas Lopez. But, I don't know if it's the same guy, because the Tomas Lopez here lived in Midland, and that guy lived in Odessa, and that wouldn't be that uncommon of a name, and so, but if it was the same guy, that would be really interesting. And so I'm going to hit on my brick mortar, because that's what Lopez and his brothers and their company, that's what they did. They re-tipped my bricks because I had a brick mortar problem, and so that's that kind of just leads me into that story, which is kind of a side story. But this picture's taken when I first looked at the house before I even moved here. Actually, Mike Lawhon didn't die till the 12th, so he was still alive on that day. And you can see here that the mortar on this house all the way around, it had the mortar was coming out. It's broke. And all the other houses around here seem, in my 9 homes in this cul-de-sac, seemed okay. And you can see how the weeds are grown up. There's a lot of repair was needed on this home when I first moved in here, but it had a mortar problem. Well, my first private investigator told me that the mortar problem was caused because of a foundation problem, okay? Well, by that time, I'm thinking, well, okay, I know where that comes from, right? That comes from tunneling under a home, underground facility, and maybe one of them 4 underground homes, 25 foot deep, is under my home, and that's what's affected the foundation, which broke the mortar. That makes sense to me. Well, there was another home around the corner on here at 3900 Westmont Court, and they had the same mortar problem as I did. But you can see that white on that brick. It wasn't. I can remember when it didn't look like that. That's how they repaired their mortar problem. So this home had a mortar problem like mine. So I wondered if this home had underground access here at 3900 Westmont Court. Maybe it does and they don't even know it, because I lived here. And this is when you get the map view from Google Maps, and you can see my home here where, I was shot right there, and I can back out, and there's the Home Depot store. Rhonda Denman Rogers said the underground facility's a half block away, okay? And so you back out, but around the corner, this is the home over here that had the brick problem. That was the one on Westmont Court. It's not in my cul-de-sac. And interesting, right here across the street, that the brother-in-law of U.S. Congressman Mike Conaway lived in that home. And then down there in the Fairmont Park Church across this down the alley. Remember, there was a guy running down the alley one time from that direction. But anyway, just give you an idea. So that was a mortar story. And then the last thing here is I made a video, and this was back in 2016, decimal and cut up close, and here's Rene's daughter contact me and wanted information, and that really, I'm really sad. Her dad is disappears one night and is never found. They've never had closure, and so I can't even imagine that scenario there. And so really feel sorry for her. But anyways, I'm going to play this other video for you. Hold on.
But can you describe what happened July 12th?
Well, I remember that day like it was yesterday, It was that Saturday we had, we went shopping, to have a little barbecue, just me, him, and the kids. And, we went to the store and everything. We came home and it was, everything was going good, and, he cooked the barbecue and everything. And then, that's, well, pretty much, a friend of his stopped by, and then left. And we came inside and then he went back outside, to go. He just sat in the garage to just have a few beers, And that's the last time that I saw him was,
Okay, now when he was in the garage, you were, and the kids were in the house?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what were you doing?
Well, the kids, they had went to sleep, and I went to sleep also, but I think I had woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I looked out through this window, and you could see the garage light on, so I assumed that he was, still out there. So I didn't go out there or anything, and then I went and laid back down, and then I noticed that, 6 o'clock in the morning came, I noticed that he hadn't came inside at all, and that's when I went out to the garage, and he wasn't, he wasn't there, and I was just like, this is, it's weird, but I was thinking maybe he went with a friend, or something, and he's gonna come back, but no, but that was the last time I saw him, was that night,
And you said at the barbecue was just the 2 kids, you and
Yeah.
Rene,
Mm-hmm.
and then a friend stopped by?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did the friend take part in the barbecue or just?
No, he stopped by for a few minutes and he didn't stay that long, you know, but he had told Rene that he would be back, you know. I was thinking, you know, when I didn't see Rene back there, I was thinking maybe that friend came and maybe they picked him up, you know, and he's with him or something, you know. That's the first person that, you know, came to mind, you know, was to call him, you know, and ask him, you know, if, you know, about it. But, I mean, eventually I did, you know, we did get a hold of him, but he said, you know, that he did come back over here, but everything, you know, I guess he must have came back over here when we had came inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I turned off all the lights out there. And he said he did come back, but nobody was outside, so he just went home.
And what did he remember? What time?
He said about, I can't remember what time that he said,
Mm-hmm.
but I know around the last time I saw him was at 11, and his friend was there like maybe about an hour and a half before. You know?
Okay. So obviously the police have probably in the last few years talked to him and.
Yeah, they from what I know, from what they told me, you know, that they had talked to him, and you know, but I guess they didn't find anything there, you know. But that's
okay. In a moment, we'll be back with part 2 of our interview with Esther.
Thank you again, and here we are back for part 2 of Odessa After Dark, talking with Esther Armendariz about her missing husband, Rene Escobar Sanchez, correct? When we spoke to Susan Rogers of Crime Stoppers, she was told by the Odessa police that a man named Miguel Venegas had seen Rene later that night. Do you know him?
No, I
He never
from what I
really-
was told, that was the first time that Rene even met, you know.
He never ever came down here, or
That's-
was never seen by you, really?
No, he wasn't a friend. From what I was told, Rene didn't know him. He just met him, you know, down the street.
Right.
And that's the first time I ever heard that name, you know. But Rene didn't know the guy. They just happened to meet, you know.
That night.
Yeah.
Okay. If Rene was only going to be gone for a short time, say to 7-Eleven, would he leave behind a wallet or his phone or keys or anything like that? Is there a 7-Eleven in walking distance from here?
There is, down on Andrews Highway University, but everything, his wallet, keys, he had his truck if he wanted to, you know.
He would have just
Yeah.
and why go to a 7-Eleven without a wallet?
Mhm.
Right. What if do you think somebody might have come up to the house, pulled up and asked for help, and maybe he went out there to help them, or do you think maybe it's a little bit more than that?
I think that it's a little bit more than that. I mean, I really don't know what happened, you know, after, you know, in the morning hours, you know. I mean, I can't even say what, you know.
Do you think that it's possible that he could have just walked down to this Miguel's house, just down the street?
Oh no, Miguel didn't live at that house down the street. At the time, it was this guy that, you know, knew Miguel, but Miguel was just there at a party that they were having that night.
Okay. And you don't think that Rene walked over there ever? You think he might have?
No, from what we were told, that he was over there, and other people that were there, you know, saw him there and saw him with Miguel and saw him leave with Miguel. But, you know, they said that they came back down here, you know, and
Dropped him.
well, when I spoke to Miguel myself, he told me that, yeah, they were drinking in the front yard, and that the beer ran out. He decided to go home, and he said he just left Rene there, you know, in the front yard. But I mean, that's what he told me.
Right.
You know, but you know, I don't know if that's the truth or, you know, or what, you know.
Do you know if any of the other people that were at this get together were ever questioned by the police?
From what I know, no. I mean, Rene's mom and sister happened to go to the third edition apartments on Harless. And once again, they knock on the door, you know, of a guy that had came and with information, and his wife, you know, they remember Rene being over there, but from what I remember, well, from what I know, nobody other than Miguel, you know, and myself, you know,
And his friend has been talked to by the cops.
That's it, you know, but I think that more could have been done, you know, in the beginning. I think everybody that was at that get together should have been questioned. I mean, even somebody pinpointed the shoes that he was wearing. I mean, when you go to a party, it's dark. I mean, how are you gonna remember somebody's shoes, you know? I mean, and it's just weird, you know, but I think that, you know, more should have been done.
More definitely should have been done. Do you know the name? You said it was people that he had known for a while, that his friend's house. And do you know all the names of the people that were down there at the get together at that night?
I only know the name of the guy that lived there with his wife and kids, but his name was Tomas. And as far as his last name, I don't know, but Rene had known him for a long time, and the brother, I know Tomas's brother was there also, but I don't know his name, but I mean, he's the only person, you know, the name that I know, you know, that.
Your family's done a lot of your own investigative work on this. Your mother-in-law has knocked on doors, you've knocked on doors. And so when we talked about Miguel earlier, you actually spoke to him.
Yes.
Did you believe him?
No, I didn't. I mean, he just the way, you know, like he didn't know what to say. He was just, you know, he just pretty much said he didn't remember anything. But I mean, I don't believe that. You know.
Okay. So another step in the mystery of what happened to Rene. At least now we know that Rene went to a party at Tomas's house. Miguel Venegas was there, and the people saw them leave together. Do we know approximately what time?
No, I
Okay.
don't.
So Rene thought, okay, well, my wife and the kids, they're all asleep, and oh look, there's this party, I'll go see my friend, and so and so he left all his stuff here because he was going to see his friend.
I mean, I'm thinking he was pretty sure he was going to come back home.